94 million in sales, 163 homes closed just last year, 1.9 million in GCI, and that's just getting started. Behind those stats, one name, Barry Paley. So Barry is a powerhouse listing agent who's cracked the code on predictable referrals and a scalable system. He's built a massive 28,000 person database, engineered sophisticated drip campaigns, and turned agent to agent referrals into an unstoppable listing pipeline. In today's episode, Barry reveals exactly how he leverages multilingual, white glove service, hyper targeted database marketing, and neurolinguistic strategies, NLP, to become the obvious choice in his market. If you're ready to create consistent, predictable listing success powered by relationships and systems, this is for you. Let's dive in with Barry Paley. All right, so we are here with the man himself, Barry Paley. And Barry, I'm so excited to have you on the show. We already talked about how amazing you were on the intro and all the legendary accomplishments. So first of all, I just wanted to say I appreciate you making the time and thanks for sharing all of your wisdom with our great agent audience out there. So Barry, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here, and thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. So Barry, on our Listing Beast podcast, as our audience knows, is that we focus on three key things on every show. Number one, how do we provide the most exceptional seller experience so that we can get paid what we're worth as real estate agents and we can have a listing focused business? Number two, we talk a lot about database conversion and the best way to take our not only our sphere, but our lead funnel and really increase that conversion so we don't have to work so hard. So we don't have to make so many cold calls. So we don't have to go and door knock. And then the third is we talk a lot about listing leads and building listing lead funnels. And so I'm excited to have you with us today because I know that you care a lot about a listing focused business and providing that exceptional seller experience. And so, Barry, if you would share with us, in your experience, which is vast, what is it that you've really found that separates your listing program or presentation or experience apart from others? What is it? What's the secret sauce?
So I think it all starts with a mindset, like everything else. And the mindset that we approach this from is basically consulting and making people feel comfortable. We want to come off non transactional, we want to come off as consultants. One of the things that we do is we have a pre listing appointment that we can do both virtually as well as in person. So we can do an intake via Zoom. But the minute we have the opportunity, we do send out our pre listing seller's guide, and it's pretty extensive information. Within that will be about the team, why a team, because we're team focused. So a lot of their questions that they may ask are all presented in that pre-listing guide, which is our first way to, make an appointment with them. We're very careful about, as you and I talked about before, neurolinguistics, where we have what we're saying is important to who we're saying it to. If we have pre-listing information about them, if we've been able to analyze them through a getting to know you jot form or something that we send out prior, we'll be able to know whether we're talking to a D, I, S, or C. So we'll have some intuitive. We'll pre-Google to make sure we know who we're talking to, because we want to know. You and I again touched on neurolinguistics and artificial intelligence and how we can weave this into our business to make a better listing appointment. So we'll have done some research on it. The one thing that I know, I love, I don't know if you've read Terry Jardine. She has a book called Presenting the Presenter.
Yes,
But
yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and she says the number one mistake in any kind of presentation is winging it.
Right, right.
So we're gonna do our homework beforehand, and our pre-listing seller's guide really is. My wife is our marketing director. She's a consummate pro, constantly updating that. And so within that listing presentation, they're kind of knowing what we're about.
Okay. So
It
Barry, if I
includes our
Barry, if I
five-star
can
testimonials as well.
Okay. Yeah, and there's a lot to unpack there, and I always try to slow this down because you dropped a couple of things: the disc, neuro-linguistic programming, a couple of things in there. So let's slow this down for the people that are listening and going, okay, Barry or Barry's team is on the phone with a client that's possibly interested in selling. Are they filling out a form, going trying to extract certain neurolinguistic questions to figure out if they are a high D, a high S? And for those that are listening, again, we have people that are brand new, never heard any of this. We're just talking about personality styles because me and Barry both understand that the person signs the listing agreement, not the house, right? Like, so if we can win the
Absolutely.
person and the personality, and we can custom tailor our presentation to that, we're going to have a lot more success. So Barry, when they're on the phone, is there a way to kind of extract what person, if they're hyper high D and or are they super I? Like, how do you figure out what they are?
So again, I think the listing presentation has to be defined as to whether it's a Zoom, an initial intake call to set up the appointment, or on the appointment itself. Um, if we do a pre-list intake, we'll have an opportunity to feel them out. And I think if you are familiar with the DISC program, the personality type program, you'll be able to identify what that person is. If we have the opportunity to send out a getting to know you, we'll be able to tell just from the answers to the questions that are on there whether we're dealing with a high D or an I or an S or a C. So
And Barry, why do
we
you why do you why do you think that matters when you go on the appointment? Why do you think that's so critical, knowing that personality style?
well, we all want to know at the end of the day, how do I win with you, right? How do I win and how do I exceed your expectations? And in order to do that, you need to know who you're talking to. A high D is going to go, I'll give them a list of questions and like, you know, do you like wine, this or that? Yes, yes, no, but I'm getting
Right,
a one word answer.
right.
I know that person is a high D. They don't have the time versus an I who's going to say, yeah, I love to visit beaches and, nothing beats a walk on the beach and collecting shells. I mean, I know who I'm now talking to, so I can tailor the presentation to who we're talking to
And you said
so that
some of
we
this
know
is
what the
done in
outcome.
a pre-listing jot form. Is there kind of like you
Yeah,
send them a survey ahead of time to find
yeah,
out
it's
a few
called a getting
things?
to know you form, getting to know you.
Love it.
Um, and it's a great tool. But again, two types of listing appointments, right? We've gotten a lead and, we'd like to get them on the phone or preferably a Zoom. Since 2020, since COVID, I consider a phone conversation archaic. Um, I really need to feel and get the breath of human flesh as best as I can. A Zoom is a preferable contact versus setting the appointment.
Interesting.
Um, so we might do a pre-take, or we might just set the appointment and go. So there's really two different listing appointments that we do. One is a pre-list appointment with to get to the appointment, and one of them is a direct appointment set. We're going to do that appointment at the house.
Okay, so if
And
I
there's
if
different
I
ideologies for that.
okay, and how do you make that decision? Is it based on if you've had previous experience with them? How do you make that call?
Yeah, we'll kind of customize it to what their experience is like. We can say, look, we're looking forward to coming out and just set the appointment and then do our due diligence. But still in advance, we would send out a pre listing guide, which
Okay,
we provide, which is a seller's guide. I believe it's somewhere close to 40 pages, but each page delivers value and delivers it. So for your listeners, as you mentioned, they may be at different levels. Um, don't wing it. Have a game plan, um, a pre-listing guide or a listing guide that you're going to go with, which will keep you on target to what you want to present, but be organic enough to flex it so it doesn't feel scripted or unnatural.
I love it.
But I
I
think
love it.
either of those tools are important tools to have.
I completely agree. Like I said, I think we both believe in. You also said so. We talked a little bit about the disc profile, and then you talked a little bit about neurolinguistics. And for those that that don't know what that means and why that's so critical. Can you give a brief description of how neurolinguistic programming relates to real estate sales and why every agent should get certified in neurolinguistic programming? Why do you think it's so important?
Because when you're talking to people, you need to know how to talk to them to take them where you want them to go. And it's not about manipulation, it's about guidance. Some people get confused and feel like I'm manipulating the conversation. No, everything we do is with the clients, whether a seller or a buyer, but I know we're talking sellers, with their best intention. And so often people can have pre existing negative beliefs or myths about what the process is. And our job is really to take them on a journey of information and consultation without making it feel salesy, without making it have transaction breath, and coming from care to say, it's not about what I say I am, it's about what you need. I'm here to listen to you and help you get from point A to point B. I need to understand point B. This isn't about me. This is about you.
And I think
Terry, when I met with Terry, I called up my team after I met with her and I said, forget everything I taught you about a listing presentation.
I love it.
You have to so what proof your listing presentation to the extent that I can't go on and say, I'm number one. So what? That's what the other guy told me. I can't tell you I have the best of this. That's what everybody else told me. So, how do I so what proof my presentation? And Terry basically said, how would this sound instead of a convoluted sorry? I'm going to save you money. I'm going to save you time. I'm going to save you anxiety. I'm going to make it as stressless as possible, and we're going to have some fun doing it.
I love that. Yeah, we always talk about, the sellers want three things. They want the most money in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of headache and stress, right? The least amount of hassle.
Yeah,
And I think what hopefully everyone's hearing is what Barry's really putting into perspective is, and I was guilty of this too early on in my career, is I'd go in and I would just be like, I'm number one. I work harder than anyone. I've got the best tech. I'm the coolest. I'm the smartest. I'm the fastest. And it was turning people off, right? It would just turn people off. And when you really start to realize that each person has different things that they care about, different things that they like, and as you said with the disc profile, and Barry, you'll laugh, we took the disc profile and just tried to even make it more simple. So we try to talk about people being tigers, dolphins, or turtles, right? We only have three categories, right? We know the tiger is going to be hyper aggressive. The dolphin is a high eye. They're going to want to talk about their friends, their family, the type of curtains that they bought, the where they bought the curtains. And then you've got the turtle who's going to be a little bit more cautious, a little bit more reserved. They're going to be more concerned about the details, the contract, all of these things. And if you try to go and do a tiger presentation to a turtle, you're going to lose, right? You're going to lose to someone else that fit that better personality style. And then we can get into all the fun things about matching and mimicking. And I like what you said in there about it's not manipulation. Sometimes when I try to explain Barry NLP to people, they think it's like a sales scheme. And I go, it's just the art of communication. It's the art of understanding that if I can connect with that person, right? Is that how you see it? It's the art of connecting with the human. Is that how you see it?
yeah. You have to be relationship driven, and it's not manipulation. It's permission,
Ooh,
right?
ooh,
We're
ooh.
seeking permission
Mm,
um, to win, to help you win. And that's by taking you on a journey. So, um, if you're coming from contribution, if you're coming from the point of this is not about me, this is about you. I want to know about you. I want to know how I can win with you. I want to know what does your ultimate decision look like for you to pick a realtor and how do I win with you? So you'll get that even if you didn't do a getting to know you sheet, right? because ultimately they're going to tell you, just give me the highest price. Blah, 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 blah.
Sure.
Okay, I
Sure.
got it. I knew I'm with it. I'm with the D. I'm
Right.
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 I'm with the Tiger. Um, so I think we have taglines that we use all day long that I think are relevant. They tell a story. Don't make sales calls, make care calls.
Hmm. I love that. I love that. So Barry, then so it's your design and the way you built the team and built the organization is much more about doing 100 million, top three in the tri-state area, just an absolute legend. What everyone should be hearing is that I've had people come on the show and they have a 72 point what they do to get the home sold, right? They're like, we do twilight photos, we do this, and and they still take listings. I'm not saying it doesn't work. When you get to the appointment, do you walk in the door or your team walks in the door? Do you sit down and kind of regroup and do a consultation about what they care about most? Do you walk right in and look at the house? Like, now that we've got this kind of, what their
Yeah.
cards are, because you did a great getting to know you, which I love that concept, and sending that form out ahead of time and kind of knowing what you're walking into. Once you get to the house, do you reconfirm those? What happens when I'm at the house?
So I think cream floats to the top, right? My dad has an expression. I won't use it. Um, but your experience, we all know that what we do for a living is ask questions. And the answer to the next question is in the answer to the question prior. And that is, we call it the three amigos: tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. Our first thing would be to create this relationship connection, and warm up the beginning of a relationship. But I would tell you that although everybody's got a different style, we will ask to be shown the home because that'll be our first time physically seeing it. And during that walkthrough, the questions we ask will automatically indicate our level of professionalism. And so we're just asking them questions about the house. 80% or 90% of our listing presentation is done walking around the house organically, unscripted. So by the time we sit down at the kitchen table and bring out any kind of paperwork or examples, we will have created that relationship, and we've had made a chance to impress them by our questions about our knowledge of the process.
Gotcha.
And that is the founding point of it. So that's generally what will happen. By the time we sit down at the table, we've already hopefully significantly made a positive impression that we're asking them about whether or not you have C of O's for everything, and whether or not you have the 200 amp, and how recently was the roof redone. Are there any outstanding features that if I were selling your home now or in the near future, what is it that you would want to know as the owner to deliver to the potential buyer?
I love it.
Um, so
Gotcha.
it's really about what we do, which is ask questions. And as we ask questions, people come up with and go, by the time we sit down, Brandon, somebody look at me, I go, by the way, are there any questions? First thing, is there any questions you have that we want to address? And I can tell you that almost 50 to 60% of the time, somebody goes, no, you've actually covered everything that we had written down on the sheet.
I
We
love it.
happen to be Ramsey certified. Ramsey puts out a list to their buyers and sellers. These are the questions that you should ask when you're interviewing an agent.
Right, and
And if we haven't covered
I've been
those,
in, and for the people that follow Dave Ramsey, I mean, they are tribalism about it, right? They have it printed out, and
yeah,
it's kind of funny to think about that because you're right, Barry. It makes it you already know what to expect because they're going, hey, this person that Dave Ramsey, who I follow and respect, he's saying this is what I should ask the agents, and so you can take that same framework and frame your presentation around it. I think it's brilliant. Um,
generally speaking, if we go on a Ramsey, we've already got those answers ready for them so that we don't want to disarm them. We want to alarm them with how professional we are so that they can put down their guard and create that relationship a little deeper.
Well, and you just said it best. It's because people want to work with people like themselves. If they are a big Dave Ramsey fan and you know about that, even in your getting to know you, or if it's how you got the lead, and I know, their referral system
Sure.
with Dave Ramsey is fantastic and all of that, but you kind of know a lot more about who they are and what they've experienced and what they believe in. And then Barry, one of the questions that I wrote down, because I think it's a critical moment in every market's different. When you're now at the table and you've built this relationship with them, and we get into pricing. I mean, you've probably priced, gosh, I don't know, 2,000 homes, properties, high-rise condos, everything under that you can think of. How do you work this very sensitive conversation? Because we usually know that most sellers are here. We know the market is here. Is there any special things that you've learned along the way to have a powerful pricing conversation that you could share with us?
Yeah, I think you think I have to adjust it to the market that you're in. I mean, Florida's market is very different than New York's market. Denver is very different as well. Um, but basically, there are a couple of key phraseologies that somebody would want to maybe make a note on, and that that we believe in negotiating up, not down. So
Okay. Explain that.
that's so part of our marketing concept is that the market will take the house where the price will go. And the idea is to get the most eyes on the property, to get the most offers on the property, to build leverage, because without leverage, I mean, if you take a mergers and acquisition course, they're going to tell you one offer is not an offer, right?
Right. Right.
So what we want is multiple offers. And the way that we do it, I mean, I just had a consult this morning at 6:30 with one of my team members, going on a listing appointment. Where are you going to price the house? She said, well, we could be seven and a quarter, 750. I'm not sure. And I said, well, here's my thought. Price it at 700, because someone that's looking at a 725, if they have a budget for 700, their house is invisible. If they put in their drop down box, I'm searching for homes up to 700, your house at 725 is invisible. The market is going to be somewhere between 7 and 750. You've already determined it. Get the most eyes on the property, get the most offers, and explain to them that we would prefer to negotiate up than down. So you're not cutting your nose by digging in at 700 at market price. You're going to get more offers faster, less days on the market, because anything after 14 days, you're starting to drag.
Right.
And when you start to drag, you devalue. So time on the market is relative to success.
And when
So
you're
we
with the
price,
sorry, Barry,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
and when you're with the client, and I want everyone to hear that phrase again, we negotiate up, not down. Do you
Yeah, we
say that
prefer
to
to
the client?
negotiate. We use the word prefer,
Prefer,
neurolinguistics.
prefer.
Yeah.
We prefer negotiate up, not down. That is for a pricing conversation. That is a great line right in itself. So then the seller goes, you know what though, Barry? Yeah, we put in the gold linoleum flooring in the laundry room. We have to get 750. You know the market's at 700. How do you make that decision do you kind of go more counseling? Do you go, here's the data? How do you get them off the 750 ledge when you know the market's saying 700?
You know, we consider ourselves a marketing company with a real estate license,
Mm.
right? So our answer is we will get you the best marketing that you can get. Nobody can touch us. We have my wife is our marketing director. She's state of the art. So we're going to talk about what this experience is, because I only take three things to sell a house, and that is the right price, the right marketing, the right content, and then the right distribution. Now we service basically five different MLSs. We have the finest marketing that's out there. So we qualify under all of those categories. So ultimately, if we're in a price resistance conversation and we've shared this concept of marketing at or below market to drive it up, and they're insistent on it, we can, if we need to, do further explanations. But the word you use, data, Data is what drives the next step of a marketing company. So we will be prepared with the data. And the data in the CMA that we do, Brandon, is very different. We do not just send out a CMA with the properties. We create an email ahead of time, whether we send it or not, and we are prepared to give it to them there or after, that basically has the verbiage comparing the subject property to the comparables with a link to the property link, rather than just send them property links and ask them to draw their own conclusions. And we take them through a step-by-step non-manipulation but informative consulting process to say, here's how we arrived at this number. And do you want to ride the market down, or do you want to ride the market up again? If we run into resistance and we think there's room, we won't take an overpriced listing. I'd rather be the second person in, because what's the point in putting a $20,000 car on the showroom floor for 40 grand other than a trophy? Here's a car that's worth 20 grand, but I'm asking 40.
Right.
How many cars do I need?
Right.
Um, but ultimately, we will do, and it's in our pre-listing packet, a verbal, non-binding, written piece of paper that says, you're saying X, I'm saying Y, I'll give you your day in court, but in 14 days from now, if we don't have the 5 metrics we need, requests to show, re-shows, offers, positive feedback, reverse offers, whatever the case may be that we
Hmm.
feel gives you the right to say that you're right, then obviously we're wrong, because your pricing is wrong, our pricing was right, and the market is talking to you. So we need to readjust, and we pre-negotiate the price drop. Although not contractually, we're memorializing the conversation, because the seller will have a very short memory when you come back and say, I told you we should have listed it at 700.
And I think that 5 categories, I mean, I wrote that down. That's brilliant. And hopefully, Barry, after this, we'll follow up with you to get those 5 key pieces, because you rattled them off, and you can see how many times you've done that and breathed it to the client. But now they have a scorecard, and if they don't check the boxes on the scorecard, they have to look at their scorecard, right, and go, we got to do something with the price, because Barry
Yeah.
told us if this 5 things aren't being hit with the right amount, then it's not me telling you that you need to adjust the price. The scorecard didn't make it to where it needs. That's brilliant. I know what it feels like to want more listings, but not know where to find them, how to list them, and how to get them sold in the first weekend. That's why today's video is powered by listingbeast.com, the proven certification program that's helping agents like you get more listings, make more per client, and receive endless referrals from raving fans. So if you're serious about earning $100K every single month from listings, head to listingbeast.com and book a call with my team right now. All right, let's dive back in.
I mean, a lot of my team, banter about an expression called one and done, which is, we list it correctly, we put it out at or below market value, we do one open house. We just listed a house in Cambria Heights. I think we had 160 requests to show and put 35 offers onto a spreadsheet, and wound up with a house with violations and open permits,
Hmm.
with an all cash offer that superseded what the seller would anticipate, who already bought and was on his way down to Florida. So um,
because
we
because
put
you're
up another
creating
house just recently.
you're creating that frenzy, right? When you negotiate up, we want to negotiate up and not down. You're creating that frenzy. Do you get a lot of seller resistance from it, going, well, why don't we just try for the top of the market and we can always come down later? You must get some of that, and then it's your philosophy that helps them understand.
Yeah, basically we do. And again, some are realistic and buy in and understand the marketing concept, but we have data. Return to the data, right? Marketing data. That's what we do. Um, and consult and guide. So what we'll do is we'll show them the data. Here's the last few homes that we sold, 8, 10, and 15% over ask.
which
Here's a
yeah,
working
yeah,
model.
there you go.
Here's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
working
proof.
model for it.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about
Yeah,
the 5-star testimonials. I think a lot of agents they get really stuck in the proof, especially if you're new, right? And you're trying, you haven't sold 100 homes a year every year, or 200, 500 every year, whatever the number might be. So I think they're nervous to take listings because they're going, I've done five, and each one has been a little bit different. So if you were talking to an agent out there that's let's just say never taken their first listing, and they're going into this, would the recommendation be, what would you tell that agent, right? Like you're going on your first 10th listing appointment. What would you guide them on?
do your homework. Do not wing it. Search for data. Have the data prepared. Be able to know the market, know the competition in the market so that you can be the local professional and be able to give them that information. And understand that this is not supposed to be a struggle. This is supposed to be a smooth transition into guiding them to their goals and use neurolinguistics to achieve that. Like, I mean, one of Phil's, favorite lines, Phil Jones, is if you ask somebody if they're open minded, 9 out of 10 people are not going to say, no, I'm not open minded,
Mm.
right? So
Yeah, so what you're
use
saying is, like,
neurolinguistics
you're saying,
to,
yeah, the phrasing, right? Yeah,
yeah, the
the
phraseology. Would
phrasing.
you be open minded to letting me present the concept that is going to get you the most success?
I love that. I love that. Open minded. Yeah, we like to use the phrasing, would it be fair? Right? No one wants to be not fair, right? So we use a lot of, would
Correct.
it be fair that if we haven't gone under contract in the first, 24 hours, that we review the pricing strategy, right? And no one wants to go, yeah, I don't want to be unfair. Just like you're saying, I've never heard the open minded. That's another great one. I don't want to be not open minded. And just so everyone knows, he's referencing Phil Jones, the author of Know Exactly What to Say. So if you haven't listened to that book 1,000 times, listen to that book because it's great. But yeah, these are the nuggets, right, Barry, that people need to hear.
Well,
Uh,
that's, I think, what we're trying to do is give as much value as we can. And the value is in the clues. Um, but each clue we could dive into for hours. So the
right,
idea is what resonates with you. Um, and I think you touched on another subject that I'd love to just expand,
please.
which is this new agent and fear. And fear is no different than any other limiting belief. And if you have a limiting belief, you need to do what we call exposure therapy. And exposure therapy is to eliminate the fear because where concern, fear, uncomfortable, anything along that trajectory exists, where that exists, you can be a deer in headlights and you can basically sabotage your effectiveness. So the best way to do is to fail forward. Just keep doing the experience, exposure therapy, and get that experience because once you do, once you do that, it's over. It's very, let's go back to neurolinguistics. I am concerned or afraid, or have, I'm concerned or I'm afraid. If you say I'm afraid, you've already given it up. You own it. How about the difference in saying, I have a fear of? That isn't acquiescing to the fear. That's stating the case, but you don't have ownership. You see, when you say, I am afraid, that's ownership. You're basically talking to your psyche and saying, it's okay. I have this,
Right. Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
Barry. Yeah,
and
Simon Sinek says, like, when he goes out on stage, he goes, if I say I'm nervous to go out and present, then I'm already telling myself I'm nervous. If I tell myself I'm excited to get out in front of that audience and present, and I say, I'm so excited, you know, you're nervous, but it's just what you say to yourself and how you present. So talk me through this exposure therapy. Can you simulate getting past this in role play, or does this have to be, is it you're talking, you just got to get out in front of clients and do it? Is there a,
I think either way, I was referring to that sole new agent that you were describing going on a listing appointment. Go on, you learn more from failure than you do from success.
right,
The rocks are in the failure. The
right.
rocks are in learning from experience, but definitely could role play with it 100%.
Well, we
Yeah,
have
I
some
think
people,
that's
Barry,
exciting concept. I
yeah,
like that one too.
well, some agents, they go on that first listing appointment and they don't get it. And then they get this thought that they shouldn't be doing listings and they go back to doing buyers and they start doing this whole anxiety thing. And it's like you gotta expect that you've never done it. That would be like me getting up to hit a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. There's no way I'm going to hit that fastball if I've never swung a bat a couple of times, right? And they get so, I watch agents just get destroyed and they go, listings aren't for me. It's too much pressure. It's too nerve wracking. It's too this. And I go, well, how many appointments you been on? They're like, two. And I'm like, well, there you go. And now I have a term to call it. You need more exposure therapy, which I'm going to use quite a bit. I
Yeah.
love it.
I mean, even if you look at immunology to allergies, you can go in and you go in with an EpiPen so you don't die, and they'll load you up with what you're allergic to build up your immune system through exposure therapy. If you're a gym rat, how do you build muscle? You go
Reps.
in, you tear it down, you let it rest, and you build it back up. Um, I think any limiting belief needs to be exposed to exposure therapy because you're carrying a limiting belief that's a fear. And where there's fear, you're blocked.
I
So
love
if you
it.
want to eliminate the blocks, eliminate the fear, exposure therapy, own it, but don't take property of it.
Right.
Just, I have a fear of, I have a fear of public speaking. I mean, I was just on with Caroline, and if you know Caroline, she basically, as a child, had such a bad stutter that she couldn't communicate, and she's a public speaker.
Right. Right. Do you think that's,
Um,
some people think, Barry, that that's innate talent? And I try to tell people all the time, yeah, of course, talent helps, but anyone can do this, right? You came from a totally different background. I came from a totally different background. You know tons of agents that came from every walk of life. But it's funny that only, the last statistic I saw, and to paraphrase it, that only, the 80-20 rule, but really in listings, it seems like it's the 90-10 rule. 10% of
yeah,
agents are controlling 90% of the listings, right? If
yeah,
you
we
really,
actually have the stats as 93.7.
93,
So 7% of us controlling 93% of the sales.
right? And so, and do you just think it's, and they go, well, Brennan, you're just, or Barry, you're just so smooth. Well, you didn't wake up that way. I mean, how many neurolinguistic courses did you go through? How many, right? You had to learn this. It wasn't like you woke up and you were the Barry you are today, right? It had to
Yeah,
be.
the underlying seed of talent is grit.
Mm, mm, mm. Love that. Underlying seed of talent
And if
is
you
grit.
don't have grit, if you don't have a passion for excellence, if you don't have a passion for self mastery, if you don't have a passion for getting better and being a better agent, better person, better family member, better relationship every night that you put your head on the pillow, that you get up the next morning a better person, you might be lacking in grit. So if you're lacking in grit, either grit up, take a vitamin, take exposure therapy, but we really need to understand who we are, and we need to understand that things are happening for us, not to us.
Ooh, I love that.
So,
I love it.
so the person that you were talking about that was ready to toss it in, um, it happened for them, not to them. They just have to be open enough to understand that. And what that means is grit, which means if you get thrown off the horse, you get back on the horse, right?
Age old, age old. Well, Barry, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. We're going to go into our fun lightning round, which we call Beast Mode, and
Okay.
yeah. So mode is just an acronym. We're going to start with the M in Beast Mode, which is. Can you tell me about your most memorable listing appointment, or maybe someone on your team? Because I love this. I've heard a lot of interesting appointments. Any one pop into your mind that you remember that was interesting?
Yeah, my first was memorable. I was brand new, um, and there was an area called Center Island, which is on the Gold Coast of Long Island, and my sister had a home on Center Island, and she had I don't remember if it was legal or not in those days, an apartment over the garage, and she said, can you find me a tenant? And so I went out and found her a tenant. And then there was a call into the office that someone else was looking for to list a rental on Center Island. So they said, well, give it to Paley. He's brand new and he covered Center Island. So I went on that listing appointment, and the woman had two homes. One was waterfront, the other one was not. The voice will come back. So just give me a minute. So she wanted to rent the one house. And I said, if you rent this house and you just redid it, it might suffer at the hands of tenants. And the house that you have in front of it is, basically blocking the view of the water, which brings it down a little bit. Anyway, make a long story short, I walked out of there with five listings: the two
Woo!
homes, a rental on home A, a rental on home B, a sale on home A, a sale on home B, and to put together the two properties as a compound.
Wow.
And in those days, it
On your
was,
first
back
appointment, on your first one.
first, yeah, yeah.
Phew.
And so we listed five listings. I think we sold it within the month. Somebody did buy both homes for, to build out a family compound. And I think in those days it was a 60K commission. And I said, oh, this is cool. I just need to do this.
Yeah, not a problem.
I didn't know it was the only deal I was going to do my first year. We did a couple subsequent, but that was a pretty unusual listing presentation. And of course, it sticks in your mind because it is your first one.
Right. It's the craziest part about our business, right? You never know. I tell people never underestimate any client. One client could be worth 20 deals over a lifetime, and you get this preconceived notion that, oh, this is so and so and they live in this neighborhood and it's not going to be, it is what it is. I'm like, you never know what that next door is going to open up. So I love that. And then Barry, the second one is the O, which is in your listing experiences, what's been the biggest obstacle you've had to overcome?
Well, I happen to be Part 36 approved by New York State Court to handle divorce, and I do a lot of divorce deals.
You are a saint.
Um, and I spent a fair amount of time studying that field, and we do a lot in it. And depending upon how adversarial the deal is, um, getting everybody on the same page. And I want to shout out to the rest of the agents in the world because other agents are often an obstacle to getting a deal done. We've got to drag them through the experience. If 93% of the business is done by 7% of us, some of those 93 are obstacles and challenging. But I would say um, several of our divorce situations were definitely
Difficult.
obstacles. And I
Difficult.
would say that dealing with inexperienced agents is another major obstacle that all of us deal with.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially
and the best
highly
thing that they
highly
can do,
emotional agents. The highly emotional agents are just it is hard.
yeah, and getting them on board to either say, it's okay, I respect you, carry us through it,
Right.
versus fighting it tooth and nail across the way. But those are the obstacles that I see that are out there.
I love it. And then usually we go to D here, which is deliver one piece of advice. And I'm because of time, I'm going to skip that one because you've already given us so many pieces of advice. I'm going to get right to
Sure.
the E, Barry, which is what are you excited about for the future? What's happening in your world, and what are you so passionate about? What are you excited about for the future?
The opportunities are insane, insane. Um, Harnessing artificial intelligence, the change of the marketing. I told a mutual friend of ours that the current market is as volatile as trying to play chess with the board sitting on a raft in the ocean.
That's very true. That is very true. And do you
And
think that's because it's changing so fast? Is that why?
yes,
Okay.
yes. I mean, we've been through, if you go back from COVID through NAR, I mean, I have a graph of 12 things that have affected the market that would have wiped out most agents and the resilience of us as agents and how we've been able to cope with them. And we ain't seen nothing yet
Mm,
because AI will be completely a game changer. Um, I've heard it said that we won't be replaced by technology, but we will be replaced by agents who embrace technology.
right.
So if we don't embrace technology at its highest level, which today stands for artificial intelligence, someone else will, and our job will get harder. So we're excited about the change because we're built to fly at 36,000 square feet. We're built for pressure. We're built for change. We're built to pivot. Um, and so, for all intents and purposes, I'm like Rocky at the back end of the fight. Come on, bring
Right.
it.
Right.
We're
Well,
ready. We're ready to engage and excel.
I love your optimism and not only the optimism, I think it's just the clarity of going adapt or die, right? It's kind of
Yeah.
you either adapt or you're going to be irrelevant. And I watch so many agents just go, well, I've been in this business this long and I'm not changing my presentation and I'm not changing my website and I'm not changing my funnel. And I go, if you're not constantly focused on evolving this, you're not going to be there. And then they go, well, but I built all these relationships. And I go, that's great. And we know agents, some people take this pride that they've been in the business for 50 years. And I go, that's totally understandable. But it sounds like you almost lost your passion, not you, them, right? You're going, why not keep figuring out how to get better every day? Why stay status quo? The tech's going to change, the world's going to change. And I think what you said there is very inspiring for so many people to hear. Well, Barry, then I'll end with we know you are a motivational speaker. You have a coaching and mentoring company called the New Frontier of Real Estate. You have an amazing team in the tri-state area, and I don't want to just say just tri-state, but can you, what like, how should people connect with you, and what can you help them with?
So, if it's on a referral basis, we cover everything from Montauk, Long Island, which is the Hamptons, all the way through Long Island, Queens, Brooklyn, and New York City. We are in two luxury markets at the end of each spectrum. One is Manhattan, Gotham. That's the $100 blackjack table or baccarat, whatever your game is.
Yeah,
The
definitely.
Hamptons is also baccarat,
Hmm.
and everything in between, including the Gold Coast of Long Island. Our team is multilingual, multi generational, multicultural. We speak 12 languages between us. So we just got a referral. Do you have anybody that speaks Arabic? Yeah, we do. Um, let us go to work with them. Russian, Polish, Mandarin, English, Hindi, Punjab. I mean, we're in a very diverse market, so
Right. Yeah.
that's
Very.
part of our skill set. We have a phenomenal, as I said, marketing department headed by my wife and her team. So
Well,
we
that's
operate
amazing.
out of 5 MLSs that cover all those different areas. So whatever we're listing on Long Island, we can list to the city. And in COVID, the height of COVID, we built a website called Escape to Long Island, not a website, a Facebook page, Escape to Long Island. And people were moving away from diversity. And so we have the ability to say, okay, somebody's going to move to Manhattan. I can send my listings to 28,000 Manhattan agents. I can tell a seller, I can get more eyes on your property, better content than anybody on the planet, and deliver them a highly VIP, care driven, white glove, sophisticated service by our agents who are top negotiators in their field and get their clients to the closing table.
I love
And
it.
that's our value prop to our agent to agent. And I tell every agent that I have and every agent out there, we have three types of clients: buyers, sellers, and agents. When you're done with the buyer and seller, obviously you want to stay raving fans and make sure that you're in their database, not that they're just in your database, that you are in their database. Create raving fans, but ultimately, the agents I'm going to see the next day on campus.
Right.
And so those people have to be treated, respected, and considered significant clients. And I would say to you, of the 100 and change million that we do, 45, 50% is from agent to agent referral, asking us, who basically say, I know who you are, see what you did. Can you do it for so and so?
That is huge. Well, Barry, we're going to give everyone on both our podcast and our video podcast on our YouTube channel all of your contact information. I'm going to get those 5 categories of what you do to make sure if they're scoring them correct on the showings. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only Barry Paley. And Barry, thank you for
Thank you.
being a listing beast and inspiring so many of our audience out there to become the listing beast that they're meant to be. So thank you for your time. We greatly appreciate it. If today's video helped you level up your listing game, hit that subscribe button right now. You'll get instant access to weekly strategies that'll get you more listings, help you make more per client, and receive endless referrals from raving fans. And if you're dead serious about making $100K every month from listings, head straight to listingbeast.com to book a call with my team. Our proven listing certification program can take your business from good to unstoppable. I'm Brendan Bartic, and I'll see you in the next one.